$500,000 to organizations that, quote, eradicate hate and to work with the Anti-Defamation League to fight anti-Semitism. The announcement came last night, which is 6 days after Irving's controversial social media post about a book and a movie that feature anti-Semitic tropes. The Nets, the ADL, and Irving all released statements yesterday. Irving's statement reads, in quote, "I oppose all forms of hatred and oppression and stand strong with communities that are marginalized and impacted every day. I am aware of the negative impact of my post towards the Jewish community, and I take responsibility. I do not believe everything said in the documentary was true or reflects my morals and principles. I'm a human being learning from all walks of life, and I intend to do so with an open mind and a willingness to listen. So from my family and I, we meant no harm to any one group, race, or religion of people, and wish to only be a beacon of truth and light." The Nets have not made Kyrie Irving available to reporters since Saturday night's tense press conference that followed a Brooklyn loss. The post itself was deleted on Sunday night. All right, we'll pause on that thought. We'll come back with more football conversation. How about the Philadelphia Eagles?
They are near the bottom of the league in terms of defense here so far, and that's just on the court stuff. They've also got the Kyrie Irving situation in the wake of the controversy over a tweet linked to a movie considered by many anti-Semitic. The Nets and Kyrie Irving announced they'll each donate $500,000 to anti-hate causes. Irving also issued this statement saying, "I oppose all forms of hatred and oppression and stand strong with communities that are marginalized and impacted every day. I'm aware of the negative impact of my post towards the Jewish community, and I take responsibility." The statement continues, "I am a human being learning from all walks of life, and I intend to do so with an open mind and a willingness to listen. So for my family and I, we meant no harm to any one group, race, or religion of people and wish to only be a beacon of truth and light," end quote. Been noted by many, there's not really an apology anywhere in that statement, maybe an admission of misspeaking, but he hopes, and the Nets hope, between the donation and the statement, that this will put an end to it. What do you think?
I'm glad he admitted it. It takes, you never really know how you affect people. And I bet whenever he posted or tweeted or whatever it was, he didn't think this would be the outcome. And so to say, you know what, I'm not that high on my horse to say I'm going to say what I want, I have freedom of speech, and that's it. I'm glad he acknowledged it. I'm glad he's trying to take steps towards moving on, and I think that's very important for everybody involved.
Yeah, I'm with Jamal. I think the first thing is accountability. And I think one thing for Kyrie right now is, take away just this tweet. I think when you're looking at a team of the Brooklyn Nets, they have to find a way not to be a distraction. I think that's the one thing right now. It seems the play is a distraction in itself, not playing well, but then when you have off-court distractions, and sometimes I know my high school coach said, I don't care what you think you're wrong or right, you're becoming a distraction to our goal. And the goal is to winning basketball games or coming out and just being able to compete. I think right now they're not even clear-headed enough to compete, versus winning the losses. Sometimes you learn from a lot of losses and you can say, hey, we can see where we're getting better. I don't think they know where they are, from a standpoint, not basketball players, who has my back. That's the hugest thing. If I know Jamal has my back and I'm not playing well, I feel it could come, especially that talent. Right now, I don't think they know who they are, and where they want to go, and that starts with leadership. From the player standpoint, from coaching and management, those three entities are not on the same page.
And they've had so many distractions going back to last season, the James Harden situation, the trade for Simmons, the Kyrie Irving back situation last year, the news that Kevin Durant wanted to be traded out of Brooklyn over the summer, and now this, in addition to the issues on the floor. Nets are back on the court Friday in Washington. Whether they'll have a permanent head coach by then, we don't really know, but they're reportedly set to hire suspended Celtics coach, former Brooklyn assistant coach Ime Udoka. But before we turn the page there, let's take a look at how things went sideways for Steve Nash. Looking back, Jamal, could he have been too player-friendly?
I think whenever you have great players, as great as they are, they want to be held accountable. And I think Steve, he's a great basketball mind, one of the best basketball minds we've ever seen. But maybe he adjusted his style a little bit too much, possibly. Whenever you have two players like that, you need leadership and you need culture. They organize things, right? You look at the Bulls with Jordan. They had Phil Jackson. They had a strong organization. Wasn't always on the same page then, but they were strong and united. those two great players need that. And when you don't get that, you get chaos in some ways. And I think that's the result of what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I'm with Jamal. I think Jamal said it best. In my words, I'll just add to that. You want to be challenged.
Yes.
Some kind of way as a coach, you have to come in and challenge great players. It might be little games within, defensive games, shooting games. Everything is a challenge and everything is a competition. And I think they needed to be challenged harder. And sometimes people say, coach harder. No, challenge harder. Because they're already great. They know how great they are. But I think whenever you are great, there's always another level. And I think that's the one thing I don't think those three, as far as Kyrie, KD, and Steve Nash, was on the same page. I never felt they were on the same page.
Yeah.
And to be a great championship type team with culture, you could see those three. I never saw communication and chatter between them. Coming off the floor, you never see them all talking and people do, all I need you to do is do this, or I don't mind you disagreeing, Jamal. I don't have to know what you're saying. But if you see guys saying, oh, no, and then you're going to start working out, it was just walk to the bench.
Yeah.
It was just walk to the bench.
Going through the motions. Yep. One of the things Sean Marks said was that Nash told him players weren't responding to him. What is it like when star players in particular, Smitty, start tuning out their coach?
You have nothing. I mean, if the star player and the head coach is not on the same page, I don't know how you win, Jamal.
You're a dead man walking.
I don't know how you win.
Yeah.
I mean, everything goes through those two guys. Everything, the scouting report for the other team is those two guys. And I would say as a team playing against them, you can feel that when the star player and the head coach, or the two star players, that's when it's kind of bad. Now, both your two star players are not on the same page with the head coach. Not saying whose fault it is, but I don't think you have a chance to win when they're not on the same page.
Yeah, for me, I agree with Smitty. If they're not on the same page, the other guys, because I was a road guy, right, and you could feel that okay, there's a disconnect here somewhere. When stuff hits the fan, we're probably going to splinter because there's not a solid foundation. You could feel it watching it through the TV, so I know the players playing in that locker room felt it as well.
And you were starting to hear it from other teams talking about Kyrie Irving blowing off Steve Nash, play calls, that sort of thing. It was happening on the floor and everybody could see it. What will be the key for Udoka, if indeed the job is his, to command that locker room?
Accountability. He's coming from a place of going to the finals. They respect him, obviously, for what he just did in Boston. But accountability is the key word. If he can get those two guys to buy in, to really buy in and step up even their leadership in some ways, right, and bring the other guys along with him and hold them accountable. Like somebody said, they want to be challenged. That's why they came together. They knew it would be a challenge. They want to be challenged. Hold them to that standard, and then I think the rest takes care of itself.
I piggyback over Jamal. He said it best. If you're the other players, I got to look to those two. If they buy into those two, then we have something. But if you don't have your role players buying into your superstars, you don't have a chance. I think I got to want to play for and with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. I got to be looking at them as like, you guys make us go. And I want to be excited, as a role player.
And it's interesting, Udoka obviously had stars in Boston and reached the NBA Finals, but they had young stars. These guys have almost complete resumes already. So I guess the question is, what's the right approach to coaching superstars at this stage in their career? Guys who've seen it all and done it all, basically.
I mean, if depending on the relationship, I'm coming to Jamal and say, what do you don't do well? And I'm going to listen to Jamal. And if he says whatever, I want you to do that. I'm going to challenge you for something that you don't think you do well. And I think that'll get these guys' motor going. I mean, I'm going to ask KD, can you come up with 11 rebounds a game? Can Kyrie, can you take 3 charges? I just want to see their response. That's all I want to hear.
And for me, it's just, I'm not going to be your friend. We'll have a working relationship, but I'm going to coach you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to challenge you. And that's what it is. What do you want out of this? And I think hearing it from Ime, who just is fresh off the finals, no disrespect to Steve, but that was his first coaching job, right? But these guys may look at Ime a little bit different if that's who gets the job and says, you know what, he just went to the finals. He knows what it takes. That's what we're trying to get. Let's listen to him. Let's buy in.
So it's still early in the season.
It is.
How good can these Nets be?
They're still scary if they put it together. That's the thing about them, right? They're like the East Coast Lakers right now. Like, if they can put it together, they have a chance. They have a puncher's chance. They have 2 great players. Their role players, hopefully Ben Simmons finds his rhythm a little bit better as the season, progresses. Steph Curry's coming back. You'll get TJ Warren, right? So they have the players and the pieces. Now it's about putting this together and trying to get some momentum mid-season.
What do you think?
You know, I think with Jamal, what he said, and I think also to add to me and Jamal talked about before we came on air, it's just my opinion. Kyrie Irving has to go back to being a point guard. I don't like him off the ball. He's phenomenal at both. But I think it gives him more responsibility of being a point guard. You're responsible for getting me, Matt Weiner, shots. You are. Ben Simmons, I love him. He's a facilitator. But I want the ball to be in Kyrie's hand, making the plays. And yes, Ben Simmons, you can make the plays off a double team. If you get the rebound, you push it. But I want Kyrie making plays, getting downhill, and getting the other guys easier shots.
They've got to get better defensively. They've got to become a better rebounding team. Maybe that means an acquisition down the line. And they've got to get a healthier, more proactive version of Ben Simmons on the floor.
And that's the reason why I say Kyrie.
The defensive menace that he's been.
I don't think Ben is healthy enough to be the point guard to get downhill and put pressure. And I don't think his confidence is there, Jamal. I mean, I've watched him get in the lane and he stops. So I think that's Kyrie. I'm going to put it on Kyrie because he's good enough to be able to go out there and get 20 and 12, 25 and 13, and still also finish games.
Interesting stuff. All right, much more coming up here when we come back. Trae Young playing under the bright lights in Manhattan. A spot